Okay. Do 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 do. Preparing to live stream, setting up the meeting, and I think. Oh yes, we are live now. Hey everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host Andrew Benjamin. I am joined by my co-host, who is not suspended from AEW or facing potential firing, or has pissed off CM Punk, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights.
Thank you for the recent chaotic wrestling references, but I'm pretty sure the last thing I want to do is feel the route that Tony Khan. Oh, and by the way, we got JayWolf from Southern California who could be bracing for the fact that he's ready to hunker down for a hurricane. How are you, sir?
Oh, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you guys having me on here to talk about some epic Rizin, these press conferences. I'm looking forward to this show. This is great.
So JayWolf, we didn't have you on for the Hawaiian press conference, and so I want to give me your quick thoughts on that press conference, because I think that was definitely Rise's most memorable press conference. This has been a week. You know what? I just want to say, has Christian, with the CM Punk, with the AEW All Out one, with the UFC thing that just happened. This has been a week of just insane press conferences, like in recent time.
No shit, especially considering the fact that up until a few hours ago, we didn't even know that the chaos with the UFC was even going to happen. But considering that Nate Diaz is on their card and he might be going on to bigger and better things with his own fight promotion, who fucking knows? I mean, this thing's just going to get crazier and crazier, probably as the month progresses, but definitely as the rest of the year progresses. And it all started with what happened, Sunday night in Chicagoland.
So, sorry, JayWolf, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, go ahead. Tell us what you thought about the Hawaiian press conference.
Oh, the Hawaiian press conference, the first one that happened with when Floyd Mayweather was there with Mikuru Asakura. It was just sensational press conference. It was one of the best Rizin press conferences that we've seen in a while. I mean, it got so much attention. Mayweather's bodyguard pushing Mikuru, that generated about like 30 different articles I saw. I mean, just so much news broke from that one. He was talking about, Scotty Coates and Bellator doing collaborations with them, breaking into the American market, doing a Hawaii event next year, and announcing several fights for this card. There's so many great fights that they announced for the 38 card. They announced one of the fights for the Super Rizin card. And I'll just give you an example. One of my favorite fights they announced was the Juri Ohara versus Luis Gustavo fight. I think that's just going to have the violence potential for that one. It's going to be off the charts. And if somebody doesn't get soccer kicked or stomped in that one, I'm going to be disappointed. I mean, because both those guys, just Luis is Wanderlei Silva's protege. Juri Ohara has just shown himself to be he utilizes the superior rule set so well in all his fights. He always has a soccer kick finish here or there. So, just the violence potential in that fight's going to be off the charts. I thought, hearing about the Bellator collaboration and how Bellator's going to help them with, the Hawaii event and the end of the year, New Year's Eve event. I just love it. I hope they even have some collaboration on this, because I know this is not going to be the final press conference. I think we're going to have at least one more, because they got to announce some more fights. I'm hoping that Bellator will collaborate with them and send some guys over as well. And also, the other big news that happened from this press conference with Floyd Mayweather was they announced that they're back on DirecTV. And, I think that's huge news. This is the first time they're back on DirecTV since the Almighty Pride FC era. So I think that's huge news as well. It remains to be seen. Are they going to have both of them on DirecTV or just the Mayweather Super Rizin card? But either way, I think that's huge news for them. I can't wait to see how, what kind of numbers it does. Anything close to, 50,000, is a huge home run win, I think. And just, also they announced that they're back on Fight TV, which everybody loved, because that's one of the great online streaming platforms for them. I'm pretty sure with the Fight TV, they're going to offer like a package deal where you can get both of the Super Rizin event and the 38 event for a bundled price. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do. I don't know for sure, but I'm just making an educated guess. But I mean, just all kinds of huge news was breaking from that press conference. I just loved it. And then the altercation between Mikuru and Mayweather's bodyguard, I mean, it was just a great press conference. And then of course, Drew, your favorite Ren Hiramoto talking trash on Floyd Mayweather's behalf.
I was waiting for you to bring him up because I know because you're his biggest fan, probably more bigger fan than me.
Oh man, I just love it. Ren's a treasure. I'm so happy he's with Epic Rising, and he crossed over from kickboxing to do mixed martial arts with Epic Rising. It's just, dude, he's a treasure. He's hilarious. He's obviously a draw, and I mean, just dude, it's gonna be so much fun. So I just really love that press conference. I had a great time watching it when we were on the Discord. If everybody hasn't joined yet, join the Rizin Discord that Drew has set up. I mean, it's a lot of fun in there, and we were watching the press conference together, having a great time, and just, I just loved it. I mean, it was great. And then a week later, now we got another press conference that we're going to talk about here, and we're announced a couple more fights. And I think this is not the last. I think that they've got to announce some more fights as well, including at least the co-main for the Super Rizin event before Mayweather, which I'm hoping is going to be a big fight. And I mean, I don't want to speculate right now, but because I don't want to ruin anything and jinx anything. But the possibilities for what that co-main could be are pretty big. I mean, I told you guys about it before the show started. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't want to speculate beforehand, but I'm just eagerly anticipating the next presser, which hopefully will be in the next week or two. But we'll see what happens. So
hopefully so. And I hate to interrupt, even though it's kind of my thing, but when it comes down to the fact that for the first time, probably since August of 2020, obviously, but really the first time for an actual live event since February 2020, when you have Matt Stryker basically commentate from his hotel bathroom, you have a Rizin event on Fight TV, even though it's in the post-Triller era of Fight TV. It's still going to be on Fight TV nonetheless.
Yes.
But what are your overall thoughts about that happening?
I think it's huge. It's absolutely huge. I mean, the fans were calling that's a platform that fight fans know, and a lot of the fans were calling for them to come back to the Fight TV platform because they had done successful shows in there before, and and the only reason that they talk about that Matt Stryker one, that was because that was during the pandemic. That really screwed things up.
It wasn't during the pandemic. It was a month before the pandemic.
But they were still unable to bring Stryker over to commentate at the actual event. So
Hold on. No, I'm going to have to correct you on that. So it's not because they couldn't, it's because they wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
They were, this was, don't forget. So again, if you want to really know in depth about the whole thing with Fight and English commentary and Rizin, there's a great article. I think it's either MMA Fighter or My MMA. I forgot who wrote it, but it's a great interview with Frank.
I mean, it's probably, it's Drake Riggs that put out the article for My MMA News back when he was with them. Now he's with MMA Mania.
I think, and basically, So what happened was that so Fight TV was footing the bill for the English commentary team to go over there, and I think Fight TV was just like, we don't want to pay for this shit anymore, for whatever reason. So they were just like my Stryker, who at that time he was kind of like the go-to guy for all Fight TV stuff. So because he was doing the commentary for wrestling, he was doing the stuff for what was
Lucha Libre, some form or another of fights, either professional wrestling, kickboxing, or MMA. And now he's got the gig with the Zone for Major League Baseball coverage.
Yeah, so like they went on to him. Just also the thing is that Fight TV, I think at the time the company was located in Long Island or New York. I think it's still, I don't know if it still is, but my guess is he either came, I don't know if he came to a studio or he just did it from his home. I don't know where, but I definitely think it was definitely also a location thing as well. Which sucks because he's on the East Coast. And he had to stay up all night for that show.
He did a good job, I thought, with his commentary. Just the sound quality was just horrible.
Well, also, I have to give him credit because he did name drop us, so I cannot hate somebody who name drops this hard work that we put in
Well, you more than I, but still.
Well, listen, I would have marked out though if he had said like my name like on air, like I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, he's the greatest ever. Well, I guess the other thing I got to ask you, Jay. So do you think it's with them coming back on Fight? Do you think it's like, is it too little, too late at this point? Are people?
No, hell no. That's a huge deal. It's fantastic. I'm glad they're doing it for the Mayweather event. I mean, I had told you guys and everybody that they were gonna, people were being, not you guys, but there was some that were in like the Discord chat and online that were being doomer gloomer goobers. That's what I like to call them, being just being just negative about everything and saying that they weren't going to have English commentary, weren't going to be available for English fans. But I kept telling them, I just have faith they'll get something done, and they sure did. And they're back on Fight. And I think it's a huge deal for this Mayweather card because I mean Mayweather is commanding. He commands attention from the combat sports world because he's he's quote unquote the best ever. Whether you agree with that or not, but he just commands attention. And I mean, look at this press conference he just did for them. It got a bunch of articles. They were all about Mayweather, all about his bodyguard pushing the cure
in a
stuff.
way, JayWolf, half of those articles were in Japanese. The other were by certain sports writers who wouldn't give mixed martial arts, let alone the Rizin Fighting Federation, the time of day.
Yeah, I know. That's the point. Is that Mayweather brings that attention. I mean, he was getting tweets from boxing guys that were getting thousands of likes and hundreds of retweets about that. And I mean, and just I think that's why it's a great time for them to bring back Fight TV, and and especially the one I'm most excited about is the Direct TV again, because that's like, I mean, that's how they when Almighty Pride FC was going big, they were on Direct TV, and it just feels like that's bringing back the Pride 2.0 that we all want to see, and it just feels big, with Fight TV deal and being on Direct TV for this Mayweather card. It just feels like a big deal. I'm just really excited. I can't wait to see what the next fights are going to be announced. Hopefully in the next week or two. I'm hoping for the Bellator collaboration bouts on at least one of them. I'm hoping that the co-main event is going to be really big. I hope they go big for the co-main before Mayweather, like they did for the previous Mayweather event with Mayweather Tension. They did Kyoji Horiguchi versus Darian Caldwell, who was the Bellator champion at the time. And that got huge attention because it was right before the Mayweather Tension fight. So I believe that this time, since they're going early, they're starting it at 8:00, right? So by the time it gets to Mayweather, it'll be around, for East Coast, probably be around midnight. So they're going to be able to have a co-main event around like 11:00 ish for East Coast fans, and or no, 12:00 ish, something like that.
Well, here's the thing: you just said that the card starts at 11 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10
Oh yeah,
Central.
okay, yeah, no, you're right. So it'll be 12 or 1 o'clock when the Mayweather bout starts. But before
that means when it comes down to it, you are right. The main event the main event for the Super Rizin card, the featured contest for Super Rizin, won't begin until like 1 a.m. Eastern, midnight Central, 10 Pacific.
Yeah, but before that, there's going to be a co-main that they should go big for, and because remember when on the first Mayweather exhibition versus Tension, that was way early in the morning, and the co-main for that was Kyoji versus Darian Caldwell, and that got a lot of attention, even though it was at a early in the morning hour, because it was before the Mayweather fight. So I'm hoping that the same thing this time, and since it's at a different time, it'll be more at a better time period this time for the American audience. So I'm hoping they go big for that co-main before the Mayweather bout, because I feel like they're going to have a lot of attention this time. Like I said, I'm excited it's back on Direct TV. I'm excited it's back on Fight TV. I just think there's going to be a lot of people tuning in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just can't wait to see. I hope there's going to be another press conference in the next week or two. I hope they don't wait too close to the event. But I mean, it's just I'm excited, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is one of my most anticipated cards of the year right here. I mean, I'm planning on being up all night with you guys, going watch the Super Rizin all the way to 38, all the way to the break of dawn in the morning, you know?
Yeah, but for you,
yeah,
it'll probably be until 4 a.m., which a lot of people want. I mean, a lot of people are probably gonna be dead sleep at that point. I'm hoping I'm not one of them. But still, though, when it comes down to this particular fight card, I'm just glad that they made this decision to put the event out for the English language international viewers, you know, and they didn't have to rush to the last minute to put the shit out there.
well,
Absolutely.
well, announcing how you can watch it. How many times have we been left in the dark? And it's like, are they going to be even showing this? That's always been a trademark of Rizin. Remember, well, and also, literally with the last show where they were showing us, where Damian Brown and Joe Ferraro were like, "Oh, we're doing English commentary," and then suddenly,
Basically, we were just playing. Guess what? We're just basically. I mean, when Damian Brown and Joe Ferraro were doing English commentary, and I think Joe Ferraro detailed it well on Drake Riggs' Broadened Horizons podcast. Check that out on Spotify, by the way, cheap plug. But still, though, when they were doing commentary for Rizin 37, we basically had to ask them, where is it going to be? How are y'all doing this? Where can we find the commentary? Only to get, radio silence, so to speak, pun intended.
Oh yeah, no, that was an unfortunate cock tease. Unfortunately.
I think they did. We don't even know where the English commentary was for that. I mean, was it on the replay?
Well, no, I think they're just doing it for the Stream Pass. I think what they're doing is I think they're gonna try to load up the Stream Pass with like a lot of stuff that's kind of like go back in the archives or whatever and just have like that available for people who want to rewatch it. New Japan does that for their stuff for like still, they'll do remote English commentary as well and then upload it a few days later.
But I'm pretty sure Wrestle Universe does that for whatever shows that Stuart Fultz and Mark Pickering do.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, that's my guess. And I mean, I don't know what else they'll be doing anyway. So I guess it's just a matter of time to wait for when they announce that.
Yeah, because I mean, we were all watching on the Rizin Live in Japanese. I mean, and the stream was mint, but I mean, it was entirely in Japanese, even the graphics and stuff. So yeah, I didn't mind that. I mean, it was still a great show. I just was unable to watch the whole thing through that time. But it was, and then when I went to go watch the replay, they had muted some of the walkouts, I guess, for the copyright of the music or something. I was just so upset about that. I was like, man, that just killed some of the experience, So I'm really looking forward to watching. I don't think Fight does that, so I'm super happy. We don't have to deal with that anymore. No,
Fight definitely does not mute.
That's right. Yes, so we don't have to deal with that shit.
And if they do end up muting entrance, God damn it, I can't even speak. But still, if they do mute entrance themes, at least they won't put some like shitty dub music on there just to make it feel like they're coming out to that particular song.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff of the past, or we're trying to struggle to find where to watch it and dealing with them muting the. I mean, we don't have to deal with none of that shit no more. Now it's back on Fight TV. It's going to be on Direct TV. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, I can't wait. I'm excited to see if this Direct TV deal is a permanent thing, if they're going to have all the shows on Direct TV, or if it's just a one-off for Mayweather. But I'm sure the Fight TV deal, I'm almost positive that's going to be a permanent thing. That's going to piggyback with the Rizin Stream Pass.
Hopefully so, but I hope that I hope that regardless if it's going to be shown through Integrated Sports pay-per-view, who's footing the bill for the show to even be on all these different platforms like DirecTV, Dish Network, Sling TV. I think it's going to be on Xfinity, Comcast as well. But still, though, aside from the show being put out there by Doug Jones of Integrated Sports pay-per-view, shout out to him for getting that shit done.
That's right. Yes.
I'm hoping that after this particular show, and then obviously after the New Year's show, that interest for the Rizin Fighting Federation doesn't wane because, Mayweather's not here to milk the cash cow anymore. Let's go ahead and figure out what's the next best step to find that next prospect.
I don't think you have to worry. I think the superior rule set will take care of that. They've got fights booked on here like the Juri O'Hara versus Luis Gustavo, where both those guys are they're already acclimated to the superior rule set. They throw soccer kicks, stomps. I mean, we're going to see some great superior rule set action. And I believe that will take care of what you're talking about. And the fans will come back for that, because it's the superior rule set is superior action, period. I mean, it's the fighting environment is more dynamic than the UFC. It's just so much more fun. I mean, you saw in the last UFC where the guy, it was the Whitaker and Vettori fight, where, I mean, he was holding him down. It was a perfect spot for them to throw grounded knees. And people, the fans on the internet, when that moment happened in the fight, they started talking trash about how the UFC doesn't allow grounded knees right there. So, I mean, I'm telling you, with the Floyd Mayweather fight, it's going to bring a lot of exposure, a lot of attention. And one of these fights, you've seen the past couple of epic Rizins, we've gotten some superior rule set finishes, at least one on every single event. So, I mean, as long as we get that on this Mayweather event here, I think it's going to take care of what you're saying, Jay Krish. I think the fans, they're going to see it, they're going to love it, and they're going to come back for more, period. I mean, and then, with the news from the press conference about the Bellator collaboration, they're going to do a collaboration event on New Year's Eve. They're going to collaborate next year for the Hawaii event. Who knows if they're going to be able to have the superior rule set for the Hawaii event. I mean, Hawaii has had, as Daniel Zubicki, the Polish announcer for an Epic Rizin fan, the Discord, was talking about, is that, they've had in the past, they've had soccer kicks in Hawaii. And, remember they used to have those tournaments, 8-man, 1-night Grand Prix tournaments in Hawaii. So, maybe they'll allow the superior rule set for the Hawaii event. I mean, how awesome would that be? And they just signed some Hawaii fighters. They had the Hawaii tryouts. So we're going to get some international fighters.
I mean, what you mean. And when it came down to those Hawaiian tryouts, at least 2, maybe 3 of those fighters out of the 10 that were called for future Rizin events, those are UFC veterans that want to fight in Rizin.
Yes. I mean, I'm excited to see some of the one, forget, I think it was Dustin Kimura, or maybe it was the other one, something Day. But anyways, he was at 2 and 3.
Martin Day and Dustin Kimura are the 2 UFC veterans that are.
One of them was 2 and 3 in the UFC. Which one was 2 and 3 in the UFC? I think it was Dustin Kimura. But anyways, it's going to be exciting to see him unleashed on the superior rule set and see what he can do. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Another fighter, I mean, there's 2 more fighters that's obviously going to want to be unleashed on the rule set. Zach Zane and Zach Zane and Kai Kamaka III.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to all of them. I mean, so, a lot of those signings, there was, gosh, I think I got them here somewhere. The signings, there was a couple of new prospects that I wanted to look out for.
Guys and girls that hopefully won't be like Dylan West getting knocked out by Kizaimon Saiga years ago and having to fail in their Rizin debuts.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys that their records are like 50, 500 records, but there was a lot of, there was a couple that were some hot prospects. One guy was like 4-1, the other was like a 1-0 wrestler. I mean, it's and they're both Hawaiian, so they're going to bring it. It's going to be exciting because those Hawaiian fighters, they usually always bring it. So I mean, I'm pretty excited to see. And then one of the women that they signed was a Combate Global and Bellator vet. I mean, that's pretty exciting right there to me. Got some losses, I mean, it's like,
and I mean, yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. She's 1 and 2, but that's not gonna basically dilute her skill set.
Yeah, those 2 losses were decision losses, I remember correctly. So it's not like she was out there getting finished. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. Her skill set is there. So I mean, I'm just excited to see what they're gonna do. And that's also what they announced at that first press conference, if I remember correctly, was the tryouts for the Hawaii tryouts, right? So I mean, this all ties into the press conference stuff. I mean, Did Drew get dropped here, or
exactly?
Or should we go into the second press conference that we're supposed to talk about now?
Exactly. Are we live?
Yeah, we're
I'm
still
sorry,
live.
man. I can't hear you. Shit. I mean, shit. I was just trying to see if Andrew sent any distress signals or something. He might be waiting to get back on the air right now, and we're taking over his time slot.
No, he definitely got dropped for something. Let me see if I can get him back here and see.
I mean, think of it. Do you also have the YouTube stream of this up? Because it is being streamed live on the We Are Rising podcast YouTube channel. We hope you're subscribed to it as well.
I got it right here, actually. Let me see if it's going. Yeah, it's live right now. Sweet.
Oh yeah, it is sweet. I mean, come to think of it right now, I bet the comment, I mean, I would check on the comments, but unfortunately my internet is shit right now. And I don't want to risk trying to lose connection with you trying to check all these comments.
Yeah, no, forget that. Well, I'm sure Drew will be back in here pretty soon. Do we have to let him back in, or is he able to just get back in?
Because he runs this whole damn thing, it's gonna be up. He's gonna be coming back automatically. Huh.
Okay, I mean, we're still live right now, so if you want to get into the second press conference, let's do it. I mean, they for the Super Rising, they only announced one more fight. So far, there's only 2 fights announced for Super Rising. One of them was a kickboxing match. That was announced at the first press conference with Floyd Mayweather. That was Yoshinari Nadaka versus a Thai fighter.
Bandasak Sor Drakumpe, I think.
You're braver than me. I would not be able to. I want to take a stab at trying to pronounce that name and absolutely butcher it. But I mean, it was, yeah, Nadaka's fighting a Thai fighter, and it should be pretty fun. And then the fight that was announced at this press conference that we're talking about was Kota Miura, the Japanese soccer star's son, and he's fighting another Thai fighter. And if you want to take a stab at saying his name, go ahead, Jay Chris. I'm just gonna say he's fighting a Thai fighter here, and looks like it could be a pretty fun match. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Kota Miura, fight again. I mean, he just did a boxing
still there?
match. Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Right.
Oh, here's Drew. Drew's coming back.
Andrew's back in the call. He's connecting. Andrew, can you continue on?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. It's the internet, little hiccup on my end.
That's okay. Hey, we're still broadcasting live, so
that's fine. We'll do live, as our Bill O'Reilly once famously said. But I was hoping, I was listening to you guys' discussion. It was great. But let's talk about what happened on September 6th, 2 days ago, at the Rizin, at the post Hawaiian press conference for Rizin 38 and Rizin Super Rizin. I don't want to call it Super Rizin. It's so weird.
Go ahead and say it for what it truly was. It was chaos at Waikiki Beach. It was basically
no. The one on 9/6, not the Hawaiian one. I'm talking about the one that just happened.
Oh, right. The one that just happened. The one that had all the fights. I mean, most of the fights announced. And Andrew, do you have a few of the fights up on your end?
Drew, your audio's off.
How about now?
Your audio's off.
Good?
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay. They announced 3 fights. 2 were expected, but with one change, and one is with Kota Miura. So that's what it's at. That's what you all need to know. First, for Super Rising, they announced Kota Miura versus, I have no idea how to pronounce this gentleman's name.
You know what? Go ahead, send that to me via the DMs here, so that I would be able to pronounce the shit for you.
I'm gonna say it's Boonchai.
Boonchai. No, yeah, let's just go ahead and say it. Boonchai. BOONCHAI.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not going by I wonder if his family name that's the gym that he's a part of, right? Because I've never heard that type of that gym name.
But point of the matter is, Andrew, all you need to know is that Kota Miura's opponent, Boonchai, is a 4-2-1 professional boxer with 3 knockouts. And as a Muay Thai fighter, I think his record is 70. No, I think it's 20-15-3.
Something like that. Listen, these Muay Thai guys, they'll be like 19 and they're like records 122 and 70 and 50.
Yeah, they're hardcore.
I mean, that's because when we were only 8 years old trying to get our lunch money, those kids were literally fighting for money.
Or
oh, did we lose Drew again?
I think we did. Hopefully he can reconnect.
What's happening? Is Drew having some blackouts up there in New York?
I hope not. I hope not.
So, okay. So let's keep the show rolling until he gets back here. So yeah, Kota Miura, the Japanese soccer sensation star, his son is Kota Miura. He's the second mixed martial arts fight against a Thai fighter, Boonchai, and like Jay Chris was saying, he's got a good boxing record and extensive Muay Thai record. So it's going to be exciting to see him in mixed martial arts against Kota Miura. When it comes
down to Boonchai, he is a former WBO youth world title challenger.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's those are some pretty good. It's got Kota Miura versus Boonchai, and then in the kickboxing match, Nadaka versus Bandasak, and then another Thai fighter. So there's some pretty good bouts to kick it off. But
and I mean, when it comes down to Bandasak facing off against Yoshinari Nadaka, Bandasak has a record of 78-21-5 in Muay Thai and kickboxing.
Nice. So I mean, that's another good bout. But I mean, I need more. I need another. We got to have a big co-main before Mayweather because there's going to be a lot of attention.
In a way, you kind of forgetting that there's supposed to be not one but two fight slots on that. I mean, 2 more fight slots on that Super Rising card. So it's supposed to be 5, not 4.
Excellent. That's even better. So I'm hoping that the next 2 bouts are big fights with international fighters, and especially the co-main before Mayweather. They got to go big for that one because it's going to get just like the first Mayweather exhibition with tension. It's gonna have a lot of attention on it, and so I want them to go big for that one and have a great fight. And I mean, if not, move that Juri Ohara versus Luis Gustavo to the co-main, because that one, I mean, I'm just super, like I said, that one, I think we're going to get violence is just going to be off the charts in that one, and we're going to get superior rule set action. So, I mean, if they need to move that one to the card and move the other ones, back to 38 and move Juri Ohara versus Luis Gustavo to the Super Rising, that'd be great too. I mean, but look, like Jay Chris said, there's 2 more slots and there's 1 co-main slot, and I hope they go big for that. I hope we get another presser in a week or 2 announcing those big fights, and they're going to be with international fighters, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So, Drew, are you back now? Your audio's off still.
Fix your damn mic, Andrew.
How's this now?
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I think also it should be, I forgot to mention this as well, and this is good, that Japan has actually reopened to foreign travelers.
Yes.
Not entirely without certain restrictions. There's still some, but now generally not most people can go. So now it'll be a lot easier, because one of the issues I was hearing of that international travel that the international fighters were having was that, so the fighters would get the commercial visa to come in, so they were able to get in through. But the problem was that their seconds, that their team, they would have to apply for like a tourist visa, because they're there, because while they're there working, they're not. It's a whole confusing issue, and like hopefully
so basically what you're trying to say is the fighters come there pretty much on that work visa. The team that the fighters work with, their cheap second, their quarterman, their cut man, all that shit, they're basically coming in off the tourist visa.
Yes, because it's all like it's weird things. Yeah. So hopefully now that makes just generally because I think that was what didn't Jessica Aguilar say that she tried to bring in her girlfriend to be in her corner, but
actually she did bring in her girlfriend, who you probably know, Andrew, as fellow actress Shalita Grant.
Oh, she did. I thought she couldn't come. Okay. Yes. CJ says you don't have to sign up for a tour or something. So you have to sign up through a tour. So you have to do it. You have to book the trip through an agency, but that's all you need to do. So like you basically go to I don't know. I never do anything through travel agencies. So whoever Expedia, I don't know. You go through Expedia, and then they just you book it through them, but then it's not like you don't have to follow an itinerary like you previously had to do. So now it is very easy to go to Japan now, much more easy. So I think we'll be seeing a lot more. I definitely think we'll be seeing a lot more international fighters.
Excellent.
I mean,
Music to my ears.
I mean, kind of think it's easy if you have the money for it.
That and also, they still require vaccines. So, and I definitely know that there's some fighters that Rizin wants to get, but unfortunately don't have the jabs. So, but they have to wait for those fighters to come in at some point. But the big news.
I mean, come to think of it, when I think about fighters who can't get vaccines, the most famous case I've realized over the last year or so was in boxing when Bryant Bye-Bye Jennings was supposed to face off against Oscar Rivas to crown the first ever Bridgerweight champion at 205 to 225 pounds. But he didn't want to go into Canada because Canada was basically either you don't vaccinate either you vaccinate or you're not getting this fight. And Canada is still like that. But
yeah,
things basically played the dick role, didn't want to get vaccinated, and didn't want to fight for pretty much something that could have been his, in that world title, to become the first, the one, so to speak, in that Bridgerweight title fight. But yeah, point of the matter is, when it comes down to fighters, especially trying to get into Japan, please get vaccinated so we don't have an international incident.
But unfortunately, there was some bad news. Well, actually, there was two pieces of bad news. Let's go off right at the bat. As you can see from the title, R.I.P. Trigger. So JayWolf, I know you were the biggest Trigger fanatic. Do you want to do a 10-bell salute to Trigger?
The Trigger is not. They said it's on a hiatus. It's not done yet. I mean, and Shu Hirata was saying that they're gonna look into getting another sponsor and do some Trigger, not Trigger, but do a cage event. So just because a Trigger brand might be on hiatus doesn't mean it's dead yet. And
do you think they'll change the name? Do you think that because it's associated with that person, whatever? Do you think they might just change the name to be like, okay, you know what? We'll do the same thing, but just call it something different so it's not associated with that lady.
Why not? I mean, as long as it's in the cage, it's fine. Just, I mean, the superior rule set action in the cage is what we want to see. And, just have a cage series. You don't have to call it Trigger. If that's a problem, you can name it something else, but just have the Epic Rizin superior rule set fights in a cage. Just have a Rizin series that's in a cage, and everything's fine.
So it's kind of like what WSOF did, and then when they changed their whole thing to PFL.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Just change the brand name if it's a problem. Go ahead, change the brand name. From Trigger to whatever. I mean, it's fine.
When it comes down to the whole WSOF to PFL thing, they still had to go through some shit with the people over at WSOF Global, as was documented, I think, by John Nash of MMA Mania or Bloody Elbow or something like that. They still have to go through a lot of legal red tape just to complete the transaction.
Oh, yes. CJ says they're going to drop the cage into Mount Fuji. That'd be more for a landmark, though. That'd be more for the landmark.
In your dreams, CJ, not happening. The cage
TG.
MMA.
Come to think of it, I was thinking that they could continue the whole Cage series with the Landmark shows because they tried to make the Cage a part of the Landmark series, but they couldn't get commission from the venues to work the Landmark shows.
Oh, there you go. Do that, and then switch the Landmarks to a Cage show, and that's great. I mean,
DG says, looking forward to seeing more fighters from outside Japan competing in Rizin like before. You'll definitely see a lot more. I guarantee you that. And then CJ says, change the name to Potential. Rizin Potential. Rizin Potential. That's not too bad. I don't hate that. I don't know. It's weird because here's the thing: is that like Japanese. So when Japanese name their things after like English words, they have a different view of the word than like we do. It's and like they like certain words just are more cooler and more, I guess, attractive, like marketable wise than you would never hear a UFC show now called like UFC Trigger or something like that. That was like, they kind of had to do the thing in the 90s where the sports shows or like the combat sports shows would be like, whatever XFC, bloods whatever or something, or knockouts or
basically what you're trying to say is you wouldn't see a show like Super Brawl or Extreme Fighting or the Absolute Fighting Championships, anything like that these days.
Like sub names that they would give their shows after. And that was like a thing in the 90s and early 2000s. And for some reason, it's kind of like how like when 80s music went to Iran in like 2000s, so and like people were like going crazy for like the 80s music that like nobody here was listening to. It's kind of like like all those cool, like that cool sub naming of stuff of like 90s type things, actually, or like WWF Insurrection or something like that. That's something that Japan does a lot. Actually, CJ says leave Landmark alone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no one's touching Landmark. CJ, don't worry. And
well, at least have them do it on Landmarks. At least have them do a Landmark show at different landmarks. Okay,
not the problem. Yeah, that's what you expected. You thought like, oh, they're gonna do inside Tokyo City or Tokyo Dome, not Tokyo Dome.
You know what?
Tokyo Tower.
I mean, a perfect choice for a Landmark show, now that you think about it, would definitely be like right in front of Tokyo Tower.
You know what? If you can do Landmark, CJ, you probably love this. Do it in Ganryujima Island, where Inoki and Masa Saito had their match, where the samurai, what the fuck's his name? Miyamoto had his famous duel there. Why don't you do that? Like, to go to actual landmarks and have the fights there. Plus, it'd be cool to do an outside MMA show. I have no idea. I think outside MMA shows are awesome. I know a lot of people don't like them for whatever reason, but I think they're cool.
Well, considering the fact that the last promotion that tried to do, well, outside of Bellator, obviously, the last promotion that tried to do an outdoor show was King of the Cage. And that didn't really turn out well in the early 2000s.
CJ says no, leaving the sewers. Yeah, the sewer aesthetic is unique to Landmark, though. They should I don't know. Don't call it Landmark and then go into sewers is my belief. So the other sad news though was that, and unfortunately I can't change my graphics because now I'm doing this on mobile in case we get disconnected. Was that unfortunately Reina has an orbital injury. 2-month recovery.
Has an orbital injury, so she'll be out for some time. And unfortunately, the show must go on. So she was replaced by the person she beat at Rizin 37, and that was Anastasia Svechkiva. What the hell am I talking about, Svetlana? But still, though,
sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Kiba will face off against Rizin super atomweight and deep jewel strawweight champ Seika Izawa at Rizin 38 in one of the women's super atomweight Grand Prix semifinals. The other semifinal will be Ayaka Hamasaki versus Siwoo Park.
We kind of all expect. I think that was the fight we were kind of all expecting. So here's the thing: they said 2-month recovery, which I'm actually surprised because orbital injury. Listen, that can fuck you up for life. Like that's one of those life-changing injuries. I think probably the most famous orbital injury that I could think of was Eddie Alvarez. I think it was his fight against. Was it the fight against Gaethje? Is that the one where he blew his nose by accident and then his like eye puffed up?
Oh yeah. I think you might be right. And he got his face. Or it might have been Chandler. Might have been one of the Chandler bouts.
Oh, it might have been Chandler, but the other one was also the other famous orbital injury I remember was Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler. When right when Rory McDonald got his orbital broken, he just kind of like crouched and kind of like, and you've seen where his career's gone. He's had ups and downs. And now he's retired. So I'm actually surprised they said 2-month recovery. So
maybe it's not a bad orbital break. Maybe it's just a small orbital fracture. You know,
an orbital injury is, I don't know if there's such thing as a small orbital injury. It's one of those injuries where it requires, I think, surgery, any sort of injury. CJ says, well, he first says, I want Toko to do a landmark fight in front of the Magic Mirror Bus. What is the Magic Mirror Bus? Is that a porn reference? Porn reference?
Come to think, I don't know. They could also do. I mean, I think they could also do. What am I trying to say? They could also do a landmark show inside one of the famous anime exhibits in Shinjuku or something.
Oh, that's true. CJ also says that he thinks that she originally injured it in the Miyu fight. Okay, so she injured in the Miyu fight. Was she fighting then? Did she fight Anastasia with the injury? CJ, if you happen to know. And then he also says that she thought that Reina fought in shoot boxing with a broken leg once. Broken leg is different. You can still fight with a broken wasn't that what happened with Sean O'Malley? Didn't he break his leg in like one match and he still won? And like that was the one where he did the interview on the ground on the mat with Joe Rogan because he couldn't stand up after the fight was over. Also, I think when didn't Uriah Faber break his leg when he fought Jose Aldo? I think he broke his leg. I could be wrong.
Remember he was fighting Matt Brown. He had his hands broken. He was only able to use elbows. Or was that Matt Brown that did that?
Mike Brown? Was it Mike Brown?
Oh yeah, Mike Brown. I'm sorry, I'm getting my Brown mixed up. But yeah, it was one of those bouts with Faber and Brown in the WEC, or it could have been a Miguel Torres bout in WEC. But anyways, the point is the fighter broke both his hands and he was only able to use elbows, but he still kept going. It was a championship bout. So it was 5 rounds. And for the last 3 or 4 rounds, he was only using elbows, but the fight still went on. So
gotcha. Okay. But CJ, I know you're a big Reina fan. I know you have no problem purchasing her merchandise, I'll say.
I should go get that book and show it to the fan. Hold on one second.
Well, hold on. Make sure make sure that's not the X-rated stuff, or else this is gonna get shut down. JayWolf. Babu Jack wants to know when
stuff. There is no X-rated stuff.
Okay,
here. There it is.
Keep the PJs. Keep it PG. Keep the PG.
Nobody wants to see the JAV version, at least publicly.
Reina is so demure; she would never do any X-rated stuff. There's her book right there. Came in the mail. Check that
out. Beautiful.
Oh my God. This has gone completely off the rails.
You need to do a review of the book now. You need to do a review of the book and give each picture a star rating.
Okay, I'll say that for the Discord. Everybody join the Discord for that. The Rizin Discord.
Yeah, the Rizin FL fans Discord. A great way to chat.
But JayWolf got to ask. So, what do you think about her being removed? I think it.
Oh man, devastated, bro. I'm absolutely devastated. You know, Reina is my favorite Japanese woman fighter. I mean, she's just she's the epitome of a hot girl fighter, a Japanese hot girl fighter. I mean, both her style, her looks. I mean, she's just one of the best women fighters that they got, and it's a big blow to the card. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's good news that she's only going to be out for a couple months. She could be back by New Year's, and I mean, and then who knows? Whoever wins the Grand Prix, maybe she could face the winner. Like if she was supposed to face off against Siki Izawa, the Starflower, the rising star of the atomweight division. I mean, you know, maybe if she wins the Grand Prix, then they could face off for her first title defense, you know, next year sometime. Who knows? So, and that would give Reina a little bit more time to heal up that orbital, you know, so they don't have to rush her back for New Year's. I mean, who knows? But yeah, that was definitely disappointment. I mean, I'm happy for Anastasia because I mean, she it was Anastasia, right? Yeah, Anastasia. She had a good showing against Reina. I mean, it was a good close fight, and you know, and I thought honestly, I thought Reina got robbed in the Siwoo Park fight, the fight before, but Siwoo Park just put on a great performance against Kana Azakura. You know, had ground and knees, everything, and it just. And so I'm happy to see her get advance and go face Hamasaki. That's gonna be a great fight as well. And then, you know, for Anastasia, what a great opportunity for her to step up. I mean, since she did have a close decision with Reina, so I mean that's a great thing. And I think I remember CJ was asking, or either CJ or somebody else asked if they're going to have an alternate bout. If they're going to have an alternate bout, they need to announce it at the next presser. It's got to be on this card. They can't be having an alternate bout for the final. You know what I mean? It's got to be, they got to have an alternate bout now. And if somebody gets hurt in these semis and they can't make it to the final, then they'll have an alternate ready to go.
This has been the year of cursed tournaments in general. Everything, it seems like every tournament has some sort of fuck up in some way. And Rizin, I don't think they do alternates anymore. They haven't done alternates, I don't think, since the Bantamweight Grand Prix that they
did. It's just, I think it's because this Grand Prix with the women atomweights is not a one night Grand Prix final. Like Pride style, you know, where they do semis and finals in one night. This one is the semis on this event here, 38, and then the final on New Year's Eve. So I'm thinking that's why they're not going to have an alternate this time. And they said that they're going to go back to the one night Grand Prix final style next year for the next Grand Prix. So I believe they'll have alternates for that one.
In the chat, Babu Jack says, "When's a deep kick chat?" Don't worry, we'll make some. Listen, that show's in a few weeks from now. I'll think of a day or weekend to make time to talk about Attack on Yuki or whatever the guy who's Shingeki no Yuki, whatever his name is, who's in the main event.
You'll be doing that while I'll just be minding my own damn business.
CJ says, Faber's leg didn't break. It just looked like microwave piece of beef jerky. Okay. And CJ wants to know are those pages in the Reina picture book stuck together?
No, not yet.
Like those old Nintendo cards from like 1950 or something.
Ew. But so here's the thing. One of the things that sucks about the Bantamweight Grand Prix, I think that Rizin was hoping maybe that one of the finals could be Reina versus Ayaka. I don't think it was too unrealistic to think that it could go that way. And then also you had the Reina versus Seika match, which is an interesting match in general.
But that's the big match right there.
You kind of robbed of. They did say that they would only fight each other if it was in the finals of this thing. So you're robbed of that. So the likelihood this match.
I mean, you are saying, we're getting robbed of these matchups. But here's the thing. There's always next year. I mean, we can still see these potential fights happen in 2023, but for the here and now, and I hate to make early predictions, but here's the thing. Even though Anastasia Little Tiger Svetskeepska basically lost in her first Rizin appearance to Reina Kubota, and she's now, of course, I think 2-1 now in her professional career, do you think that with this fight upcoming for her against Rizin champion Seiki Izawa, who's only been fighting for like a year, do you think that this warrants a second chance for Anastasia to make a good first impression?
Oh, after you, JayWolf.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she had a great performance versus Reina. Reina's just, she's a great fighter and beat her, but it was a close decision. So I mean, that's fine to plug her back in there.
I did see some people even say that under Unify rules that Anastasia might have won that. I don't know if I agree with that, but like out of all the people who out of all the fighters who lost, she was the one who put up the biggest fights, in my opinion, and who put up, to show the most impression. And apparently she didn't train for it as well, or that's what Daniel was saying. Like she didn't like really take it train that seriously, maybe. But regardless, I mean,
Well,
it
she better
also
be
makes
training
sense.
serious this time. I mean,
I hope
Siki
so.
Izawa is no joke.
I hope so.
Starflower Siki Izawa is one of the top. I mean, if not the top prospect. I can't even call her a prospect anymore. She's a champ right now. I mean, dude, she's like, dude, she's a hot fighter right now. Period. I mean, she's an up and comer. I mean, just as good as it gets. As far, I mean, if you can't call her a prospect no more, she's, I mean, a breakout star fighter basically. And I just can't wait to see her fight again. So, Anastasia, if she didn't train for that Reina fight, she better be training for Siki Uzawa because she's the real deal. So, I mean, and also I want to tell you guys, if they need a alternate, why not just plug Reina back in there for eyes healed up in 2 months?
Well, I don't know. I don't think she'll be healed up
because that eye injury ain't gonna heal up overnight. It's gonna take time for that eye to heal up, because if she gets back in the ring thinking, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay, Ichini-san Shuto," and all that shit, she's going to risk getting permanently blinded because of that.
Yeah.
If she ends up going back into fighting too soon.
I'll also say you did say that they could try to do Ayaka and Reign next year. I don't know if this was maybe the one time I think that fight could happen, because then if they're in the finals, they have to fight. But I don't, unless they both plan to have the retirement match together or plan to retire at the same time, I don't see those two like fighting any other way besides in the finals of a tournament. That's because they train together, they've been friends for a long time, and they've always said that, like, yeah, we're not gonna fight each other.
What about for the belt? What about if Hamasaki takes the belt again, and then her first defense is Reina next year? You think Reina would take it then?
Nope, not at all.
Not even for the belt.
She said that she said she wouldn't fight Ayaka unless it was in the finals of this tournament.
Okay, I mean, if she said that she wouldn't even fight for the belt, then I guess that ship has sailed. But I mean, I think the hot bout is not even with Ayaka Hamasaki. I think it's with Siki Izawa. I mean, Siki Izawa, Starflower. That's a great nickname for her because she's a freaking superstar right now. She's up and coming superstar.
The hook of the Ayaka Reina thing was that they're both friends, and it's kind of, they're very polar opposite fighters. So it's one of those things where very rarely do like training partners ever fight each other in MMA. This would have been one of those few times that it could have happened, and I think it's gonna be one of those things now that'll never happen. This might be Rizin's Tony Khabib or GSP Anderson Silva, maybe. The a fight that could have happened, maybe should have happened, but will never happen. But Siwoo Park Ayaka, that they announced that. I think I was kind of figuring they're gonna do that, but I think that looks very interesting, especially because Siwoo Park's been on the up and up, regardless of how you think she beat Reina. I definitely feel because here's the problem with atomweight is with this tournament, that you have fighters who have already. Problem with atomweight is that you like 90% of the fighters have like all fought each other like in deep duels or in Rizin. And Siwoo Park and Izawa, I think, have already fought in deep duels. If CJ's still in the chat, he can maybe correct me. We already have Ayaka and Seika, who've already fought twice. Now that's potentially a third time. Honestly, and then the Siwoo Park Ayaka is a new fight, so that's why I'm not surprised they went with that. But yeah, and Anastasia obviously with everybody. So this is the problem though with atomweight, is that you do risk having a lot of repeat fights, and so
I mean, come to think of it, and she's probably watching this, but I bet Anna Banana Chan would probably come out of Singapore and want to jump and put her name into the villain for atomweight. I mean, she only weighs 103 pounds. But still,
sign Anna Banana to Epic Rizin. Absolutely, get her in there as quickly as possible. Put her in an alternate spot.
Of course, as soon as she's ready, though, whenever that may be. By the way, again, shout out to Anna Banana, who puts over our you know, our channel, our entity, you know, we are Rizin, and you know, thankfully we got people outside of North America that actually enjoy what we do, especially in the land of the rising sun or in the subsequent Asian continent. But back to my point, when it comes down to the Siwoo Park versus Ayaka Hamasaki fight, considering the fact that Ayaka is facing a younger opponent who's been on a hot streak, who's been basically blazing a path throughout JMMA since she started about 2.5 years ago. I mean, do you think that if Ayaka loses, and I'm not saying that she would do this if she does lose, but if she does lose this fight, do you think that she's going to put her gloves in the middle of the ring and retire?
Oh, could be a possibility. I don't know. I don't know though. I mean, would she want to go out on 3 straight losses, or would she want to take another fight to get potentially go out on a W? You know what I mean?
Well, actually, in her case, it would be 3 losses in her last 4.
Yeah, but I mean, she's not be on a 3-loss streak, right? Or did she just? Oh, she just won her quarterfinal bout. Yeah, that's right. My bad. But so I don't know. I don't know if she would hang him up off of a loss. But I mean, you never know. I mean, if she does, you know, that she's had a great career, amazing fighter, and you know, going out on the big stage like Epic Rising. I mean, you know, for a huge show like this on a Mayweather, you know, show with a Mayweather lead in, Super Rising lead in. I mean, that's a pretty big stage to go out on. So maybe it could happen.
I have a question. So, you know, I mean, they did. So going back to the Izawa Anastasia fight. So, you know, I'm pretty sure I know why they chose her, because she lost to Reina, and Reina was probably going to be fighting, was likely going to be fighting Izawa. I think it's 99.9% chance that was going to happen. But I have a question for you, JayWolf. So the other people who lost, Laura Fontoura, Jag, and Kana Azakura. So let's just say they didn't pick Anastasia for whatever reason. Would you have been fine if they had picked one of the other losers in the tournament?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, they should have had an alternate bout, you know, like they usually do for Grand Prix. But yes, I would have been fine if they would have picked a different loser that you know didn't advance in the quarterfinals. Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, I think they picked the right one because Anastasia had the most impressive performance of all the quarterfinalists that did not advance. So I think and she almost beat Reina, and some argue that even though I disagree with them, they argue that under the unified rules that she beat Reina, but this is not the unified rules. Okay, this is the superior rule set where they judge the fights as a whole, like the Pride style. So, you know, Reina clearly beat her, but she did have a good showing. So I mean, you know, I'm happy with their pick to bring her, but they should have had an alternate. You know, every Grand Prix you got to have an alternate for stuff like this. But it's fine with me.
I'll pose the same question to you, Jay Krish. Do you think they, you know, let's just say they didn't pick Anastasia for whatever reason. Anastasia was injured, couldn't do it, whatever. What about one of the 3 other people who got eliminated? You think any of them would have been deserving of the spots?
I mean, no disrespect to Laura Fontoura, who we both talked to, and she and her interpreter, Luis Lucas, who's a pretty cool dude and has a good agency around him. You know, I wouldn't see Laura Fontoura go back to Rizin so soon because she's only 21 and she has a hell of a lot of a career to head off on. I mean, especially holding the Palace Athena's belt in Calgary. I wouldn't see Jessica Aguilar go back, even though she said to Drake Riggs that she's ready to go back whenever. I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen the, you know, dialogue I put out over on the Focus Fights Twitter account about the Broughton Horizon podcast that just recently came out with her and Joe Ferraro. But I don't see her going back to fighting sooner rather than later because she's in her 40s and all she wants to do with Shalita Grant is flip houses out in Houston and Tijuana. And as far as Kana Asakura, yeah, I get it. She's the star of the Rizin Fighting Federation. She was basically going into this tournament full of redemption, the fact that people didn't really care about her winning in 2017, and that she wanted to basically wreak havoc on the atomweight division again and win a title. But still, though, when it comes down to the fact that Rizin named Reina as named Anastasia Spetskiva as an alternate. I get that, but I still think that they could have made like not one, but maybe two alternate fights in this case, because that's where they screwed up at. I mean, I do think that I do think that Japan has a wealth of atomweight talent. I mean, like I said, Anna Banana is probably one of those fighters, even though she's an amateur and she wants to stick to kickboxing right now. But then again, you got plenty of 105 to 108 pound talent out in North America fighting for Palace Athena and Invicta. You got plenty of talent down in South America, plenty of talent where Anastasia is from, Europe, most likely Western Europe more than anything, but still, though, I do think that Rizin shouldn't. I mean, I'm not trying to say they shouldn't have made Anastasia an alternate, but still, they should have knew this from the get-go that there were going to be injuries and that they should have had like a reserve fight or two reserve fights just to make up for these mishaps in this tournament right now, especially considering the fact, I mean, I don't want to piss off the little tiger, but I think that Anastasia Spetskiva would have done better, at least for this card in a non-tournament bout, just to get a even bigger welcome to the Rizin fans. But I do think that Rizin should have had two reserve fights at the ready in case some situations like this were to have happened.
I was listening to, I'm going to plug CJ and Babu Jack's podcast, High Kicks and Arm Bars, part two.
Because you're on it. Because you're on it.
I'm not on it. No, I wasn't on it. But yes. What they talked about the K1 show. They talked about the K1 show that's coming up. And K1
it's Saturday night.
Yeah, K1 does the one night Grand Prix. Yes. And Babu Jack brought up a great point. You're gonna hate the CJ, not CJ, JayWolf. But I agree that the problem with one night Grand Prix is that sometimes it's not even the best person who wins. And I'm gonna paraphrase what they were talking about when they had Dogman on. But it's not the best person who wins, but the person who kind of just goes in the least injured and with the most stamina who kind of wins these tournaments. And that's why I don't like one night Grand Prix, because let's just say this atomweight thing. Hold on, this was a one night atomweight Grand Prix was like this. This is Rizin. They don't do alternates. They haven't done alternates in a while, so I'll assume they don't do alternates for this one. If they didn't do alternates, let's just say if Reina advances to the semifinals, she has an broken orbital bone. There'd be no way she could do that fight legitimately. Like if she made it to the finals with an orbital bone. That's the problem, is that like when you don't have alternates and when you don't have a backup plan. What you always have a plan B. Always have a plan B just in case.
Well, you're always, for every Grand Prix, you're supposed to have alternates, but they are totally wrong about 8-man one-night Grand Prix or 8-woman one-night Grand Prix. They are the most sensational things in combat sports. They're the most fun, and it favors the finishers. It doesn't favor the best finisher usually wins the tournament, and that's just the way it goes. It's just the finishers are rewarded in one-night tournaments, and I love it. I mean, that's why K1 is king of kickboxing, because they're the ones that have the balls to do 8-man one-night Grand Prix, and they have alternates for their Grand Prix every time. And Rizin used to have alternates as well for their Grand Prix, so I just don't know why they're not doing it now. Like Jay Krish said, they should have had a couple ready to go for this one, even though the final is not a one-night Grand Prix final this time, Pride style. But they're gonna next year. You'll see next year they'll have it back.
They should have learned with the Osaka tournament, the kickboxing tournament that Taiju and Koji were in. That one desperately needed a alternate, but they still went with Koji, even though this fight ended in no contest due to headbutt. the head coach.
Yeah, I do kind of remember the fact that that was the same tournament where the Fight TV stream ended too early.
Live now. Don't shit on
No, it
on
was
Fight.
live
It was live now. It was live now.
Oh, my bad. Damn it! It was live now that screwed that stream up, made it feel like it was Halloween Havoc '98. But then again, what do we know? Live now is dead now.
How crazy would it be though if Anastasia just went to the finals in this tournament? How crazy would that be? She defeat Izawa, and then as like that's what I alternates are great. Actually, you know what was a great example of the alternate?
Daniel Cormier.
No. Oh, well, that's a great one. But recently it was the Rise. Oh God, it was a recent Rise tournament that they had last year that Kazane won, and
I mean, you talked about this, right?
yeah, I'm trying to remember who was the alternate. I think it was one of the Osaki brothers who was in the alternate. He got eliminated. So I think I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what it was. Babu Jack or one of the kickboxing collective probably can remember it better. But I think it was something where where the loser got eliminated from the alternate. So they had an alternate. Loser got eliminated. Obviously, Koki Osaki, I think it was, got eliminated. But then the guy who beat him missed weight, so he got eliminated from the tournament. So they called back Koki Osaki to come in as an alternate, since he was the loser of the alternates. I think that's what happened. So yeah, that's why you have alternates, because it also makes great stories. Listen, who doesn't love when an alternate wins a thing or get inserted into them? I know, but
True, but in the case of Anastasia Spetskiva, you're asking, wouldn't it be cool if Anastasia were to win the turn? I mean, were to go on to the finals? I mean, I think it would be cool for her to win the tournament, because you look at what the world is, and you look at what's going on in the world right now. A lot of people are basically showing support towards Ukraine, even though, around this time last year, they couldn't put their finger on where Ukraine was on the map. And I hate to be disrespectful, but there was an incident in one of their hockey leagues where they basically mocked a black player by using monkey noises and throwing bananas on the ice and shit. But still, point of the matter, yes, it was a story, last year where they had one of the players in the Ukrainian hockey league throwing bananas on the ice and mocking one of the few African-American hockey players in the world, so to speak.
Terrible.
Yeah, that is terrible.
About freaking Hunter Biden or something Biden's doing corruption in Ukraine. That would have been better than a freaking what story you just said, Jay Krish. That's terrible. But anyway.
Yeah, but moving right along.
Yeah.
When it comes down to Anastasia Little Tiger Spetskiva, yeah, she makes for a great alternate. And yeah, it would be cool to see her go on to the finals, maybe even win the tournament off this second chance. But to be quite honest, I still think that she would do better without, being a part of this Grand Prix, even though, of course, she got eliminated in the first round by Reina and only came back off of Reina being injured.
Yeah, but and Siki Izawa was a superstar. It's gonna she's not getting past Siki Izawa. No, I can't see that happening.
I mean, come to think of it, I highly doubt that Anastasia Spetskiva, and if she does upset Siki Izawa, I highly doubt that fight will be, as different as Francis Tiafoe upsetting Rafael Natal, in the U.S. Open last week. But still, though, I think that if that were to happen, if Anastasia does win this tournament and goes on to face off against Izawa probably in April or maybe in the summer next year, that fight would be definitely one to look forward to. But all we got to know is the here and now. And, I'm just hoping that Anastasia and Seika, regardless of what the odds makers, which who gives a damn what they got to say, regardless of what the odds makers say, this is going to be a fun fight.
Yes, absolutely.
JayWolf,
And-
I'm gonna pose a question to you on one of the last questions I have about I guess I don't know when the next press conference is supposed to happen. Hopefully next week. What do you want them to announce at the next one?
Oh man, dude, it's got to happen in the next week or two because the fight's on the 25th. The fight night's on the 25th or 24th, and whatever that Saturday is.
24th in your time zone,
Okay, yeah.
25th in the Eastern and Central time zone.
Okay, so Saturday the 24th is when those fights go down. So they got to announce the next presser in the next week or two, and it's got to be they got to fill out the rest of the fights. Like Jay Chris was saying, we got at least 2 more slots for the Super Rizin event, and I want them to announce just an absolute banger of a co-main event before the Mayweather fight because there's going to be a lot of attention on that. It's going to be that one's going to be on shown on Direct TV, on Fight TV, all these platforms, and have huge attention. So it's got to be a banger, and actually both of them should be absolute bangers.
What would be a banger? What would be a banger to you?
I mean, dude, I'm hoping for some Bellator collaboration, some international fighters that go over there. I mean,
I don't think there'll be any Bellator collaboration until the end of the year. That's all I'll say. I don't think anything's happening because Bellator is dealing with their bantamweight thing. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Fedor at this point. So
that's a good point. I mean, Fedor and Bader have not announced the Bellator's already released their schedule for the end of the year, all the way to the end of the year in December, and Bader and Fedor were not announced as having a fight on any of those Bellator cards. So I think they're going to be part of the collaboration. Either, I mean, I would love it if they were on this Mayweather Super Rizin event, but I think they'll probably be on the New Year's Eve event for the Bellator collaboration with Rizin for New Year's Eve. But you never know. Maybe that will be the one announced for the Super Rizin. But I just expect some absolute bangers to be announced for the Super Rizin because there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that. And they still have some more slots on the 38 card. They got to announce fights for as well.
You know, come to think of it, I'm just wondering how many spots are there on the. No, it actually, out of the amount of slots that were supposed to be on that Rizin 38 card, I think it was around 8 or 9. How many have already been filled off that card?
2, 4, 6, 7. 7 fights have been announced so far.
Oh, well, I guess, that'll mean, 1 or 2 more fights. But considering the fact that Kyoji Horiguchi is going to get main event billing against Yuto Kintaro Hokamura, I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess that the final fight or the final 2 fights will both kick off the show.
I think so, but here's the other thing that they're going to be doing with Super Rizin. So Super Rizin is going to be on time constraint because it's going to be on TV here. It's going to be they're going to need to actually produce it and make it condensed for television. Rizin 38 can go as long as it needs to, but Super Rizin sounds like. Have you also know? I just also noticed as well. So Super Rizin right now has a boxing main event, and then a kickboxing, and then
kickboxing and MMA.
So
they need 2 more fights or 1 more fight to basically have a full smorgasbord.
I was about to say, so it's funny that I just noticed that how diverse the Super Rizin card is. While Rizin 38 is not, it's just all MMA. But but yeah, Christian, I'll ask you, what do you think? What do you hope that they announce at whenever the next press conference is?
I hope they don't announce a grappling fight. That's the one thing I hope that they don't announce. Because if you've seen the 3 attempts that they had at grappling bouts on their cards, it was a tag team grappling match with Wanderlei Silva. It was
awesome. That was an awesome tag team match. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, of course. It was that boring grappling match with Kazushi Sakuraba versus Frank Shamrock. And it was obviously that exhibition where Roberto Satoshi de Souza submitted everybody and literally their mom.
I don't think any of you remember. I don't know if any of you remember that Sakuraba match was supposed to be initially against Dan Henderson. That was right after he retired.
I remember that.
And I don't know why Henderson pulled out or couldn't do it, but that's one of those things that's I would have loved to have seen that. But yes, so
But
Tovar.
still, going
So
back to what I was saying, I'm hoping that it's not a grappling match. But wouldn't it be surprising if it was pro wrestling? I mean, come on, smorgasbord here. Boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, I mean, who knows? It could be another shoot boxing matchup, and they tried doing it twice, both on their first show, and both on their first show back in December of 2015 and on their third show in April of 2016. So who knows? Maybe it would be cool to see a shoot boxing match, but still, though, as long as it's not jujitsu or grappling, I just hope that whatever this fight or these last two fights will definitely be something that can, as the maximum male models on SmackDown say, titillate the senses of your mind or something like that.
I, for one, would be open to a grappling match on Rizin again, as long as they did none of this draw shit. If like after the 10 minutes or whatever, none of that shit. But yeah, I think they gotta announce something that's like, I think Super Rizin has to be a different feel than Rizin 38. It has to feel.
Remember, they said that Super Rising is supposed to be for international audiences with
So,
international fighters.
I don't even think you need international fighters. You just need something that's going to get people talking, either because of how unique or crazy it is. Like, I'm surprised that the Shibisai Kaliwu fight was put on 38, because I kind of figured that they would have put that on that would have been for Super. Yeah.
You know what? About that Juggernaut Kaliu Gilbrain fight with Shoma Shibisai, let's just face it, that man Kaliu is a monster. And let's just say this: if Rise had a heavyweight division, he'd be their champion right now. But the man's a monster, and I think it's going to be the toughest test that Shoma Shibisai will face in his career.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go with that. So like, I don't know what they're planning, but I really hope it's something. I really hope it's something that's really wacky or crazy or memeable, just to get people talking. Because I think by this point, I don't. So JayWolf's gonna disagree with me, but I don't think Floyd Mayweather is selling as much as he used to, at least here. So you need something a little bit more crazy to get people back on this on the Rizin bandwagon. Something that makes people go like, oh, oh, JMMA craziness or something. Kind of have to you have to get people talking with something. If that means Bob Sapp coming back, if that means doing a sumo fucking whatever thing,
No.
just like you do something crazy.
Come to think of it, do you really want to see Bob Sapp come back after he literally tried to kill John Nutt in Full Metal Dojo?
I'll say this: I think that we'll probably get Sudario. I think we're gonna maybe get a Sudario match announced. That's my guess.
You know what? It would be cool for that to happen, but I just hope that when it comes down to that, you say Sudario, I hope we do not see Shibatar Kitoshi Saito, because let's face it, even I can beat the shit out of that overrated hat.
No, there's no Shibatar. There won't be Shibatar. I don't think ever again. I'll tell you, I don't think so.
Scimitar Bros. They were training.
Oh yes, but they're in Russia, so now.
It would be cool to see the Shimitar brothers, but still, though.
You know what I would do? I don't know if this has been decided yet. It'd be great. They could get Ren on that card. Get Ren on this.
There you go.
Yeah, but here's the thing: isn't Ren Hiromoto supposed to face off against Mikuru Asakura at Rizin 39?
No, I mean, maybe, but here's the thing, I would still put Ren in a fight. Just put him in something, against somebody, that he can beat easily, just so he can be on the card. And I don't know, because then, Mikuru's gonna lose. We all know that. So what happened? After he loses, you could have Ren come in there and just shit talk Mikuru after his loss, like do something just so shitty, and then that builds up to Rizin 39, presuming that
Yeah,
Ren wins.
but here's the thing: you don't want a Vader Antonio Inoki style riot to take place because of that.
I don't think so, but I think it'd be hilarious. I think that'd be a great way to build up Rizin, because then people who tuned in for both cards, actually no, I'm sorry, who tuned in for the first card, Super Rizin, well then maybe if they liked it so much because of the craziness, they'll buy 38 if they didn't buy 38, or if they were interested in seeing 39 Hiromoto Mikuru, that might push them to do that. That's the problem, is that you want to make it so interesting that people who are not going to just buy, who are just buying Super to get 38 and then come back after 38 with something that's like, a crazy ending or something. That's at least my thoughts. I feel like definitely Ren should definitely be on the card, especially with the whole thing that happened at the Hawaii press conference.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up with the press conference. He was at one of the stars of the press conference. That'd be a great idea to have him on the Super Rizin event.
I mean, come to think of it, Andrew, you're probably thinking like Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. But in this case, it'll be controversy creates credibility.
Yeah, also, just have him face one of Mikuru's guys, Dark Shirakawa.
There you go. And make it MMA too, so we can see some superior rule set action.
God forbid, bring in one of those breaking down people to fight Ren. Listen, listen, it'll get Ren a win, hopefully. And listen, just the visual craziness of it would get people like, what the fuck is going on? That's what you have to get people. You have to get people going, what the fuck? Not in a bad way, but like just like, oh my god, yeah. Like you get people talking when you do crazy shit in MMA, whether that's having them dress up in medieval suits or whatever the fuck FM Dojo is doing.
Actually, M1 Global is the one that does medieval fighting. You're talking about Full Metal Dojo, who does 2-on-1 MMA.
Babu Jack says that they do have Rise does have a heavyweight division. Not that it's worth talking about, but no champ. They do have a heavyweight division, and their heavyweight division is it? So like, I don't know, like versus K1. Would K1 have even K1s is like dire. It's like, I guess K1 is probably just better by default because they're just better kickbox. They have just better talent rather than whoever Rise high.
The highest division for Rizin, right? I mean, what am I saying? The highest division for kickboxing right now is cruiserweight with Shima Karamian. I mean, because if you think about
nobody takes him seriously, Christian, and that's one thing I've heard that nobody
understood. That's why Antonio Plazibat, the K1 heavyweight champion, leapt for glory.
Yeah, but K1 has got a new there's 2 Iranian fighters. They went through 8-man one night Grand Prix.
Yes, nobody's a fan of them. Well, nobody's a fan of Cena.
The other one, I forget what his name is right now, but he had a great 8-man one night Grand Prix. Which one was it? Yeah, that sounds familiar. Did he win the 8-man one night Grand Prix earlier this year?
I have to think so.
He was on the match.
On that match card, right?
Yeah, he was on the match card as well. Both of them were. Both the Iranian heavyweights were on the match card. And the one that won earlier this year, the 8-man Grand Prix earlier this year, he was pretty. I mean, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one a lot. I mean, and that's why K1
you have a lot more respect for those heavyweights in K1 than a lot of the actual K1 international K1 fans do. JayWolf, a lot of people do not like Cena. They really don't like him.
Hey, just keep running those 8-man one night Grand Prix, and they'll build a division in no time. I mean, it's just they're so much fun. That's why I can't wait for this Saturday's K1. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait till Epic Rising goes back to the one night Grand Prix finals. It's just they're just so much fun, dude. I just love them. And I love your idea of having Ren on the Super Rizin event as one of the bouts to build into Rizin 39 against one of Mikiru's camps, one of the guys from Mikuru camp. I mean, that's a great idea.
I do think he could beat Dark Shirakawa. Dark Shirakawa is really not that good. But I think he could legitimately beat him in MMA, especially with the way that he looked like in the Suzuki fights.
And book it, make sure it's MMA, so we get to see some superior rule set. Because that's what I want. That's what I think, Drew. What you're saying is you need something that is going to hook the fans and bring them back to want to get the Rizin 38 card and beyond to Rizin 39. And that's if they see some superior rule set action. If they see some stomps or soccer kicks, they're going to be hooked. I mean, they're going to be like, wow, this is the most dynamic fighting environment. That JayWolf guy, he always goes on and on about it. I mean, he's right. This is sensational action, most dynamic fighting environment known to man. I mean, it's just it's so much fun. It's more fun than the UFC, the pussified unified rules. I mean, it's just, I mean, the superior rule set that will hook them and bring them back, and they'll want to see more if they see some superior rule set action on that Super Rizin card. That's why I'm so excited for the next press conference to see what those final two bouts are going to be. And I agree with Jay Krish. Don't make them. I have nothing against jiu-jitsu or anything, but for this, I actually like the grappling matches that they did in Rizin before. I thought they were great, but for this card, for the Super Rizin card, when it has this much attention with the Mayweather exhibition bout, gotta have some big time MMA bouts. At least the co-main, there's got to be a big MMA bout, just like with the previous Mayweather exhibition against Tension. Have it, make sure it's a big because there's going to be a lot of attention on it. I mean, the previous Mayweather Tension exhibition, that was at an odd hour in the morning for a lot of people, and it still got attention. And it still had attention on the co-main, which was Kyoji Horiguchi versus Darian Paul.
The only reason why that got so much attention was because the usual talking heads and the internet bloggers who basically only done reactions for the Mayweather Tension fight, they were the main ones talking about that.
Also, don't forget that match was not originally available to us in North America, or at least US, Canada, Mexico, but it was available internationally. And we all go on Twitch to see it, or that's what was one of the options, I should say, that I use. But remember,
we had to go on other sites just to see it.
That was not originally available to us, and that was supposed to be the hook of the show. That was the hook.
And it was. It got attention. It got attention on the co-main with Kyoji. Everybody was talking about Kyoji beating Caldwell, and then the Mayweather exhibition fight. I mean, that was, and they got to recreate that this time, because now there's going to be. Dude, it's on DirecTV, it's on Fight TV, on all those other platforms. People are going to be watching. I mean, Mayweather might not have the same pull that he did, 5 years ago or whatever, but he still commands attention. People are going to be paying attention to it because it's Mayweather, and they want to see him perform. And even if they want him to lose or whatever, they want to see the guy perform. So there's going to be people that tune in that will be tuning in for, if for nothing else, they're going to see the co-main and the Mayweather bout. So that co-main has got to be a big MMA bout with superior rule set potential, because when I'm telling you, when the fans see the superior rule set, it's going to hook them, and they're going to want to come back for more, because it's exciting.
Sorry to interrupt you, JayWolf. Unfortunately, all my alcohol is done, so that means we are coming to the end of our podcast. So before we go, JayWolf, plug everything you're doing, everything you love, and anything else you want to plug.
Oh, I just, plug this podcast right here. I mean, thank you guys for having me on. Really appreciate it. And just, get the Epic Rizin on September 24th. Buy the events either on Fight TV or Direct TV. Like what I want to do, I want to get the Direct TV for the Super Rizin, and buy the Fight TV for 38. I mean, it depends on if they offer a package deal, but I would like to get, for me, I'm going to do the Direct TV for sure. Because to me that's historic, because they're finally back on DirecTV, just like the Almighty Pride FC days. So, and then you guys, I know you guys love the Fight TV, so you're probably ordering that if it's a package deal.
Well, you can go ahead and continue, Jay.
Oh, I just want to make sure that people order it and don't illegally support the Epic Rizin, because the superior rule set, there's nothing better in combat sports. It's the most fun, it's the most dynamic fighting environment known to man. The action is just sensational. I can't get enough of it. I love watching it with you guys, and just it just makes the sport better. And I just can't wait for this event. I'm gonna go watching it with you guys from the first fight all the way to the last fight. I'm gonna stay up for the whole thing this time. It's gonna be awesome. And just support it and just get it. Don't illegally stream, because you support that. You support the Spear rule set, and that they're gonna have. I can't wait for the end of the year bouts with the Bellator collaboration. I mean, that's gonna be so much fun. And there's a Bellator event the Friday before on the 23rd. So it's going to be in Dublin, and it's going to have some awesome bouts on that as well. One of the fighters that was a collaboration fighter with Epic Rizin that Scotty Coke sent over, Spike Carlisle, is going to be on that Dublin card against AJ McKee. I mean, that's awesome bout right there. I mean, and it feels like he's he's coming off of a win in Epic Rizin, so it's like he's an Epic Rizin fighter. You know what I mean? So it's just dude, this is a lot of fun. Just that's all I want to plug. Just support the Epic Rizin, actually buy it, and tune in with us, join a Discord, and talk with us, while we're watching it, and just have some fun with us, and let's enjoy some superior rule and support the superior rule set, because there's nothing better in combat sports. It's the absolute best, and I love it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's JayWolf1. That's how you know it's me, because it's misspelled with 2 Y's. It's been that way since 06 or 07 when I first started commenting, and then that's made my Twitter account the same thing, like 2011 or whenever I started a Twitter account. So that's how you know it's me. So if you want to follow me, I'll follow you back, as long as you're a real person. I don't follow bots back. So if you follow me, I'll follow you right back. And I just really appreciate you guys having me on. I just can't wait to watch this event with you guys. I can't wait for the next presser. I mean, I'm anticipating some big fights announced with international fighters, and I'm just excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. So once again, just thank you for having me on, and thank you for making this content about the Epic Rizin. It's my most beloved promotion. Our beloved superior rule set is just dude, it's just sensational. It's the best thing in combat sports. So just really appreciate everything from you guys, really.
And Jay Chris, you know what to do.
Well, obviously, all I gotta say is I'm gonna be checking it out on Fight TV. Andrew is gonna be checking it out probably on Fight TV and putting over things on MMAsucker.com, right?
That's correct, yes.
I see. And obviously, no matter how you watch the event on September 24th or 25th, depending on your time zone, just know that if you support the official release, you're supporting Rizin, getting more opportunities, not just in North America, but internationally, because we all are hoping that, even though people are saying that a Hawaiian time zone is the worst time zone imaginable for combat sports, we're just hoping that whatever successes come off of the rest of this year for Rizin, excuse me, that will help the Rizin Hawaii show get at least a little bit more content. But still, though, we hopefully will have one more show to talk about this card on, or these cards on, and hopefully we hope y'all will join us. In the meantime, please feel free to check us out on Twitter. I'm at ChrisGary92. Andrew is at ABenja1. The show handle is at We Are Rizin Pod. That's WeAreRizImpod, all in one word. And you can check out our podcast, if we ever decide to update the audio version, on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast of choice. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more great content such as this, because we hope to be talking more until we're blue in the face, or until all hell breaks loose, so to speak, like that UFC press conference that happened earlier tonight. But still, don't. That's about it. Oh, and shit, how can I not forget? Check out my conquest on Focus Fights at Focus_Fights on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Focus Fights. The Focus Fights YouTube channel. Hopefully, I will bust my ass to get more content updated there down the pipeline. Hopefully soon, with a little bit more help. I'll be sending out feelers just for people to help me out. Or, check out the website, focusfights.world. Hopefully, like I said, more content will come sooner or later, if we don't get more content or more support from you guys, we go kaput. So please help us there. But other than that, now that I've finally exhausted all the words out of my larynx, that's a throat, ladies and gentlemen. But still, that is it from us for now. This has been the Chillmeister Chris Gary, signing off and saying, as always, as the great Lenny Hart always likes to say, and on that note, we out. Peace. Talk to y'all. We are done.